So thank you for taking the time to do this.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
I liked it the first season. I loved it the second season. I watched the first season again and I understood the characters a lot more and I really, got them. And I love the first season just as much. It was just, I don't know. I sometimes comedy just bounces off me. Sometimes it really lands, but I'm like so much in love with the show. So
I'm so glad that people are doing that, giving it a rewatch. That's been the sentiment from a lot of people. Like, oh, I went back and watched, missed a lot of things, found a lot of things that I missed, came to a better understanding of the characters, like you said, and yeah, so that's good.
I think it's one of those shows that you really have to, and everyone's so busy. So if you're not really paying attention, you miss the little reaction shots, you miss all these nuances. So I gave it my full attention and I was like, oh, yeah. I'm laughing 10 times as much and just wonderful.
Thank you so much.
So let's go back to the beginning. I usually ask, what got people into acting, but I know you're a comedian first. Mm-hmm. So what was it that got you into comedy? Because that's such a great career, but it's also a risky one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've ever interviewed any other comedians, but one through thread for a lot of us in our start is always sad, some sad story, and that's what happened with me. Basically, my dad was sick, and just by chance, my dad was sick, and I was very preoccupied with it, and just by chance, someone handed me a flyer for an open mic, and I had no idea how comedians start, what an open mic was, any of those things. I had never been even to a comedy show, a comedy club or anything. And I decided to go and I watched it and I have a very distinctive laugh. So they liked that I was there and was talking to some of the comedians after, and they were like, oh, if you come back next week, you can do some time. And I was just like, what do you mean? And they're like, you come back, you do 4 minutes of your own jokes. And I did it. And I just never stopped. So
that's incredible.
And so, yeah, for the first year, almost all my jokes was about my dad dying.
Oh, jeez.
And I don't know what other medium except therapy that you can force people to listen to all your sad thoughts. So it was therapeutic for me.
Yeah, I was going to say therapeutic for you. Everyone else got to benefit with laughter, and you got to kind of pour your heart out and work through those feelings.
Yeah, and that's been my comedy ethos since then. Like, I'm just really trying to, I have silly bits as well, but I'm really trying to make all my serious thoughts funny and interesting. Yeah.
So where do you think that comic, the comedy bug, the humor that you have in you, was that influenced by your family, by things you watched, or?
I mean, I have a big family, we're all loud and trying to hear over each other and get our thoughts in. I don't know if it's my dad was a jokester, a character, I would say. So I know I got a lot of my personality from him. But as far as comedy and doing stand-up itself, I mean, I really just like words. I really love words. I love orating. I love I didn't know, but I do love public speaking. And I just truly making people laugh. Like I feel like it's such a gift for myself and gets me out of my head. And that first open mic that I did, I remember my first, getting the first laugh and that feeling and thinking oh, this is what I do now. I feel like it's truly a calling for me. That's so corny. I've never even said that before.
No, it's awesome. I understand the feeling. I understand that feeling.
Especially now being on Abbott and we're on break now and going back to stand up and still really loving it, being and relieved that I still really like that medium as well. I do feel like it's a calling and I just really like making people laugh. And so to get on Abbott and having a different avenue to also make people laugh has been amazing. So yeah.
Laughter's a wonderful drug, as cliche as it is. It truly is.
A free joy. One of the last free gifts you can give someone and receive. So I just, it makes me so happy. So yeah.
Even in the middle of tragedy, you're making people laugh, and it's putting positivity into the world. It's something incredible about that.
Yep.
So let's get into Abbott a little bit, and how you got involved, because were you auditioning, or were you requested? Did someone pitch it to you?
No, I auditioned. It was during quarantine, and I was privileged enough to be able to spend quarantine in the house. So I had been in the house for a full year almost, and really hadn't been I think I did one other audition for the whole year, and those were self-tapes. And my agent sent me Quinta's script and was like, I think you'd like this. And I read it, and I was like, oh, this is hilarious. Like it's funny. And I wrote Quinta. I had only met her one time before, like years ago. Briefly, we were on a show together out here in LA. And I found her on Twitter, and I just wrote her. I was really I had read so many bad scripts. I have tried to write my own scripts as well. I know how hard it is. And so I just really wanted to congratulate her on writing a script, finishing it, and also having it be so good and also funny. Like, I remember reading it and laughing out loud. That's very hard to do on paper, So I just hit her up like, hey, congrats on this script. Like, you killed it, basically. And she's like, thank you. I said, I think I'm going to audition. And she was like, oh, I didn't know that you act. And I was like, well, I didn't know that I do either, but I'm going to try. I'm going to try. And then I still didn't do it. I waited like 3 weeks, because I don't know if you remember quarantine. That was like a kind of
I remember.
That was a weird time. And I was just like, why am I even trying to do anything? I was very kind of despondent. So thankfully, my agents like stayed on me. Like, I really think this is something you could do. Like, this is something that you would enjoy. And so finally I did it. I got a call back, and then I did 4 subsequent auditions with increasingly more important people. And then they like, oh, you're flying to LA to shoot the pilot. But I remember Quinta told me after the first, or maybe the second, I don't want to lie, maybe after the second tape that I sent in, she said, I'm the only person that they sent to ABC.
Oh,
so she was very like sure right away. So that's lucky for me.
What a wonderful story. A true jump. Someone saying get on stage and be part of this open mic, to you making that big leap into acting, but not only acting, in acting that people are loving. It's like
yeah. I feel like I've hit the lottery.
It's not like you're working community theater. You're working on one of the most massive stages in the world. So
one of my major deal with auditioning, even before this show, I never really audition unless I really like the part. I'm not just send in a tape for everything. I'm really conscious about my time and what's possible. So I would get a lot of scripts, and I wouldn't even try, because I'm like, and I'd always be right. I can see what the character is going to be. I'd be like, oh, that's a white woman, redhead, da, da, da. And then I'd see the show come out, and I would be exactly right. And so I really was just conscious of my time, and then just really making sure that I go out for things that are possible. You know what I mean? And so, and this character, as I was reading it, and this show, as I was reading it, the pilot, I could see it so clearly. I could see the characters. I could see the environment. It was an excellent pilot. Yeah.
And speaking of timing, your comic timing and your delivery is so funny. And I'm not just saying this. I think you are, line for line, the funniest character on TV. I mean, a simple oops has me cracking up.
Oh,
and
thank you.
I just have to say it. I don't mind gushing when it's true. I'm not going to feed you lines of BS.
I'll take it.
I have more. Hold on. No. So how much of your persona comes through in the humor that's used to create Ava?
So I've been asked this question a lot, like how close are you to the character? And because I've noticed other my co-stars aren't asked that question, I was taking it kind of disrespectfully because I'm like,
no,
no, let me explain. I was like, well, I am also acting, so why are people asking if I'm similar? And thinking that it's because I'm a comedian, people think I'm just being myself. And now I realize I am pretty close to her, personality wise. I'm a jerk. You know what I mean? I'm a jokester. I always got some smart ass shit to say. So I'm definitely, it's definitely parts of my personality coming through. Where we're different is I am an introvert. I am not an out there type of person. Her main goal, which a lot of people aren't, a lot of people didn't pick up until the rewatch, is that Ava wants to be famous. She's the reason that the cameras are in the school. A lot of people miss that when they watch the first season. And so that's something I would never do. You know, I have never wanted to be famous, and it's been something I've been struggling with. So to get on a show and become like overnight famous, basically where my face is everywhere, was like a difficult transition for me. So that's where we're very much different. She's way more bombastic than me. So it's been fun to like put on that type of energy.
Yeah. Are you allowed to do some improv as you perform?
We are allowed. I do want to say that the writing comes to us already so funny. And I'm a real, like I just said, like a real jerk about comedy. So if it's not funny, I'm like, I would be wanting to put my spin on it, but it already comes to us so funny that I don't even have many places where I'm like, oh, I need to add or improv that well. Now, if we're asked, sometimes depending on the director, they'll, after we do it as it's written, they'll say, do you have anything to add? And that's when I'll throw in a here and there, but and I do have a couple, lines, but I also think it's very corny to be like tracking your lines. So I don't remember most of the time if I improved it or if it was on the paper. Like I'm not like, that's mine, you know what I mean? That was my line. Like I learned that from being in the writer's room. No one likes the guy that's like, that's my joke, it's just like, this is a collaborative experience. So, and Quinta has made an environment that's so comfortable that, yeah, you're improvising and you don't even feel like it. It all just feels so real. So yeah, that was a long way to answer that question.
Yeah, no, it's fun. I love these answers. And I think that's why, the question comes up, how much of you is in the character? It's not a dig at all. It's because there's just like a certain naturalness to it. There's characters that feel like characters. You don't feel like a character.
Yeah,
she feels like a
that's what I
person.
figured out. I'm like, oh, I'm doing so well. People think I'm being myself. So yeah, I figured that out. Yeah, so yeah, we none of us really improv that much. The show is just so, our writers are killing it. They are. So where I come in and where what I think makes Ava special, like you said, my timing, I'm doing a lot of physical comedy. I think that's something that people missed as well until they do the rewatch. I'm doing a lot. I'm always on the move. I'm always big energy. That's so different than me. I'm very laid back. I'm mostly laying down all the time. You know what I mean? But Ava is always on the move. I've insisted to wear like the highest heels that I can get. I usually wear like 5 or 6 inch heels because I think it's hilarious how I tower over Quinta. I'm basically her bully and I'm a giant next to her. I think that's so funny, visually. So I'm thinking about all those things. And even when I'm not speaking, what am I doing with my face in the background? All of those things. So that's where I get to have fun. Yeah.
That's great. Beyond what's on the script, what do you try to bring to the character? Do you have like a backstory that's in your mind as you play her?
Not a backstory per se, because I haven't really found it out yet. They haven't told me. We know a little bit about her here and there.
Yeah, we get little peeks.
Yeah, so I'm not trying to like make up a character in my head that doesn't quite exist yet, but like I said, I'm very much trying to bring her energy. Like I'm giving her circus ringmaster. That's what I think of Ava. She's like, welcome to the show, basically. And so she's a lot of entrances. She's always entering a scene, walking by, and so I'm just always trying to hit that line. Sometimes I only say one thing in a scene. So that one thing gotta pop, so that's really what I'm concentrating on. Like just bringing, it's same thing on stage. To be a stand-up comedian is you, a microphone. I don't have a guitar, or background dancers. How do I keep these people's attention? And I'm really just trying to speak in a certain way, hit those marks as far as the jokes, and like push an energy. With Ava, I'm really trying to push an energy through the screen. I don't know if, I mean, I guess it's working because people really enjoy it. I'm like truly consciously trying to burst through the screen when I'm doing her. Like, that's what I'm thinking about. Yeah.
You know, I'm not exaggerating, just saying this. I'm a comedy snob. If I don't like it, I don't laugh.
Me too.
I listen to every line that you say and watch every reaction, because I mean, I say to my wife, I'm like, she's so good. She's so good, because we both are cracking up.
And I'm glad you're a comedy fan. A lot of people think it's easy, you know, because the line is funny, or that I'm just saying funny things. It's more to that. So I appreciate it.
I'm going to ask one last question. Time really flew by. I didn't realize it. I missed 90% of my questions. So let's end with this one.
I talk too much.
No, it's wonderful. I'm eating it all up. So it's a double header. I usually ask the question, 3 words to describe Ava, but I would like to have 2 versions of it, if you're willing. One
Sure.
from your point of view, and a second delivered from Ava's point of view of who the character is. So Janelle's read on Ava and Ava's read on Ava.
They might be one and the same. Let's see. My read on Ava: fabulous, complicated, hustler. That's what I would, yeah, that's what I would describe her as. What would Ava describe herself as? Fabulous. She's I mean, I keep coming back to hustler because that's I think what's most interesting about her. She has so many different things going on at one time. She's and that proves how smart she is and how gregarious. She's a people person, you know. I guess that would be another description. People person. Is that a description? Is that 3?
Sure.
Fabulous people person, hustler. Yes.
All right. That works for me.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Have a great day, and best of luck going forward.
All right. Thank you so much.